President Biden is prepared to take on a Republican on the ballot next fall, but is he ready for a challenge from the left? Cornel West, a semi-celebrity among progressives, is running on the Green Party ticket next November. That's the same party that Democrats blame for spoiling the 2016 election. And CNN's Isaac Joubert and Eva McKend are here with new reporting on growing concerns among some Democrats who see a progressive Green Party bid sneaking up on President Biden. And they're here to discuss now. First of all, this quote from David Axelrod, who's our colleague who helped get Barack Obama elected. This is going to sneak up on people. And he said, I don't know why alarm bells aren't going off now. They should be at a steady drumbeat from now until the election. I'm sure they were thrilled to see that in the White House.
As they often are when David Axelrod makes a comment like that. But look, with the mixed metaphor that he used there, though, is getting at where a lot of Democrats are thinking about this. And within the Biden campaign itself, there's not concern so far about this, but the Green Party has a ballot line in a number of states already. I think it's 16 states already. In 2016, they were in 44 states. So when you think about the attention that's been going to this no labels possibility and how that could spoil the election, they are still getting on the ballot, whereas the Green Party is much easier to get there and would be there with a candidate who is well known among progressives, has celebrity and connection to a lot of Black voters. And that is what is generating this concern.
Such an important point. And you have a quote in your story from the Michigan Democratic Party chair saying, I don't think Cornel West or the Green Party is something we need to worry about, but it's absolutely something we need to keep an eye on. But I'm sure that that party chair knows the history of that state and also Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Back in 2016, you just have to look at what happened. The Green Party, look at Jill Stein was on the Green Party ballot then. Look at the votes she got and look at Donald Trump's margin.
Yeah, Democrats can't afford to cede any of their coalition. So I think that some are recognizing that they would be remiss to ignore the threat of Cornel West. Something that struck me about our conversation with him is the attacks are so pointed. And I asked him, did you vote for President Biden in 2020? Why are you so disappointed by him? And then when you kick the tires a bit, even though he was part of this anti-fascist coalition of Bernie Sanders supporters that spoke well of Biden, he got in the voting booth and didn't actually vote for Joe Biden. And the way that he described that evolution on that issue, I think was in an authentic way that other progressives will be able to connect with that message. So I think that should be of concern to Democrats.
Yeah, like the argument that Jill Stein makes for what happened in 2016 and West echoes, and should be said, Stein is working as on West's campaign now, is that those voters wouldn't have turned out at all. They weren't Hillary Clinton voters who left. Yeah. That is not something that is going to put people in a very comfortable place going into what many of us expect to be a tight election.
Such important reporting. You can read the full story on CNN.com. Thanks for sharing it with us.
This is what third-party activists been waiting for. We said, and our theory was, despite the Democratic operative narrative pushers that say if you run as a third party, you'll be ignored. No, we had third parties that was ignored. That doesn't mean that will always be the fact of the case. So what happens if we get someone who's well known, who has a ton of credibility, not only on the streets but inside the system as well, to the point where they'd be undeniable, right? And you guys see why they're really afraid of Dr. Cornel West. This is he's the real threat, not the Marianne Williamson supporters. Right? They already know they're going to bring RFK Jr. to Hill, but Dr. Cornel West is freaking them out. But I don't want you guys to misunderstand. Do not misunderstand. The threat, despite their narrative, is not Dr. Cornel West. Dr. Cornel West, the man, is not the threat. And this is what the problem with third-party movements has been. That it's been too much focus on the man, the person, the Jill Stein, the Howard Hawkins. And the threat is the movement, not the man. The threat that they're really afraid of is a movement that is permanently outside the two-party duopoly, permanently whooping their ass, out-hustling them, reading more than them, being more intelligent than them, having strategy. That's the real fucking threat.
Yeah, and a thing like this, a campaign like his, would be the little seeds, the seedlings to a growing movement. And that's what they come in. That's what the establishment is known, coming in right away, cutting that shit way early, because they learn from Martin Luther King. They learn letting that shit fester, letting that shit build momentum. And then you have this Messiah. They said, oh, no more doing that. So to your point, let me bring up this headline because it's on topic. So let's just talk about this topic. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to add to that, and now I'll pass to you for the banner. The way I'm moving up right now, like I'm extremely pro leaderless movement, right? So to me, Dr. Cornel West, his candidacy is just a tool for a greater overall goal of revolution, of upward social change. That's why when people criticize Dr. Cornel West, people say, Nick, how you feel about Jimmy criticizing Dr. Cornel West? I'm like, I don't care about the man. Why I'm not his press secretary? The fuck? Like, RBN not here to defend people. We're not here to defend politicians. I got my eye on the movement. What are we doing? What are you doing? We got a labor summit coming up. We got RBN chapters popping up everywhere. I have a mutual aid event I'm playing next week. I'm gonna try to get some graphics made because I'm gonna try to raise $1,000 for school supplies for poor children.
Let's get on that. I can get on that. We'll be all pitching in for that.
So, like, what are you doing for the movement? I'm trying my best. Like, people are like, "What are you doing?" Like, man, I'm trying. You know, like we're trying, motherfucker. We struggling in this capitalist system. So instead of focus so much on the man, what are you doing? What can we do to bring towards a change? And what I'm doing, and Dr. Cornel West is down. Like he said, use his name. Didn't he say that on the show?
Yeah, he did.
So we use his name to pull people away from the two-party duopoly, to get people aware of the issues that he's raising that we agree with. So I propose as a working class, I'll pass to you, CJ, I want to start with this. I propose for us as a working class, not get hung up on these leaders, not get hung up on electoralism, use every opportunity, anything the establishment gives you as a tool for the working class. So I'm asking you this question. What advantage do we have as a working class trying to use the Democratic Party as our tool, CJ? Trying to vote for Joe Biden. What is our advantage there? There's nothing we gain from that. And this is why I want to debate Kyle Kalinske, because this is the kind of philosophy that he don't even cover on the channel. It's way beyond them, right? What is your strategy? What do you think the working class what strategy should we engage in that will most take advantage of our political power? Voting for Jim Crow Joe, the strikebreaker? That's your idea? I would ask him. That's why I've been challenging them. I've been loud as fuck, CJ. They've been dodging me.
Because think about it, Nate.
Go ahead, CJ.
Just think about it. If you're a leftist and you say, "Hey, I'm for Medicare for all," and you say, you say a bunch of things that the Democratic Party is not for. So then the question becomes, Nick, then what's the difference in you voting Republican or Democrat? Because if you vote Republican or Democrat, you're not going to get Medicare for all. Yeah. You vote Republicans or Democrat, you're not going to get money out of politics. You vote Republican or Democrat, so who you're not going to get money out, you're not going to cut the military budget. So who do you vote for? In other words, Nick, if you are a person who says, I want a candidate who will cut the funding to Israel and stop funding the military-industrial complex, who do we vote for? Who? In a red balloon, it's no one,
right? Like
exactly.
You have to look for a third party, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. CJ, go ahead. My bad.
No. Then I was just gonna get to this article here. We all saw this article. This is kind of one of those articles that kind of was under the radar just for almost a day, because this didn't catch fire until the next day. It was almost the 17th hour of it being out. Then it was like, oh, wow, what the hell is this garbage? And then when one person tweeted, another person tweeted. But, of course, it got ratioed to oblivion.
Yeah, you love to see it.
Yeah, you got – I think
savvy.
Hey, there goes Savvy right here. Pointing.
That ratio.
Perfect. But let me read the headline here just so we can talk about what they're saying here. And that is Cornel West, or let's say Dr. Cornel West's candidacy on the Green Party line confuses some of his longtime political allies and friends. while also alarming top Democrats and black leaders as a potential
Black
ticking
leaders.
time bomb for presidential Biden or for President Biden in the next year's election. Go ahead, Nick. You're going to chime in.
If you are and I've seen quite a few of them. I've seen them on Twitter. I've seen them on corporate media. If you are a black activist and your main political goal is to elect Joe Biden, you're not a black leader. You're a Democrat. You guys see, you're black leader. No, they're Democrats concerned. They're not black leaders.
They love to give. Oh wow. The first two are pretty good. Let's cover them. This is Jimmy. It says, if voting third party didn't matter, they wouldn't spend so much time trying to scare you away from doing it. That's the point we've been making. Also, if Cornell attracts enough votes to swing the election, then that's exactly the leverage that we want, which is a great point. If I were the Biden campaign, I would try to think of another solution to try to this problem besides voter shaming, scare tactics, and character assassination.
Fam, that's all they're doing because they have nothing. Even the progressives have nothing. You should vote for Joe Biden, cuz. We are socialists. We should organize. We should campaign. We should knock on doors. We should phone bank for Joe Biden, cuz. Oh, you're a racist if you don't vote for him. That's all they have.
It's simply because because Trump thing falls so flat. It's something that sometimes they don't. I feel like they feel uncomfortable using because it falls so flat. Because we've been through a Trump presidency, Nick, and this is something we're going to get into later, so we won't go into it in depth. We've been through because when we get to the Kyle segment, we've been through a Trump presidency and a Biden presidency. So we can clearly, literally, just with being fact-based, like not take the names away, just go off what their policy has been. We can clearly go, wow, this seems like one of these is clearly worse than the other. Go ahead, Nick.
The funny thing is these Democratic operatives, especially these young Gen Z operatives, their body betrays them. Their body language betrays them. Can you ever see them talk about stuff they really care about? Come on, we got to do something about gun violence, guys. We got to go fight for student loans. We got to go protest the Supreme Court. Then they're like, come on, guys, we got to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump, Donald Trump, they don't have the same fucking energy. They know it's bullshit. We got to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump is worse, even though Joe Biden funds ICE more than Donald Trump, fund the police more than Donald Trump, is spending on all of Donald Trump's worst policies, like his policy in Iran, funding Israel. Same fucking policies. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, let me read Max's tweet, and then we'll read a couple of paragraphs of the article here. Max says, and Max is in another segment. Wow, so that's another overlap there. The Dems or Democrats are going to try to bribe Cornell to drop out, offering some shiny position as dean or department head with mountains of donor money promised to the university. If that fails, and we need to make sure that fails with Cornell, they will resort to the time-tested tactic of voter suppression and calling him a Russian asset. And we can kind of say they're already sort of planting the seeds for that when they keep referring to Jill Stein anytime they interject. Oh yeah, and by the way, Jill Stein is with him, so there's that, as if there's a the kind of a wink, so something's going on. Go ahead, Nick.
So Dr. Cornel West was forced out of Harvard because of his hardline stance on standing for the Palestinians. He's the only major candidate that's standing for the Palestinian people, by the way. And my question is, do you guys think that Harvard and the establishment didn't try to get to him before it got to that boiling point?
Yeah.
On that issue? They definitely tried. He hung on there longer than I thought he would have, usually, right? So then they realized, like, we ain't getting this dude. Get him the fuck out of here, right? So I hope, and I'm just I don't have no evidence for this. I'm just using Dr. Cornel West's past actions as something to say. I don't think he's gonna sell to establishment, but we got to keep our boot on his neck. We got to keep pressure on him. That's why I'm not mad at anyone who criticized Dr. Cornel West at all, because that'll only make them better. That'll only make our movement stronger. But yeah, there's definitely something that Max Blumenthal was on point on. And now we already see Democrats saying that he have right-wing DNA. He's a Putin apologist. Like, they already character assassinated him. That's why I was like, Dr. West, you don't have to appease them when you're talking to them, because they can hate you no matter what, because they're class enemies. Right. But go ahead, CJ, you can continue.
And it's the same sort of advice we was giving to Nina Turner. So it doesn't matter. Don't turn your back on Palestinians, because they're going to hate you regardless. They're going to say, you know, you're an anti-Semite regardless. And you kind of see that with RFK Jr. also. But let me read a little bit of the article. The title: Democratic Worries Bubble Up Over Cornel West Green Party Run as Biden Campaign Takes Hands-Off Approach. That's them, Nick. Hands-off approach means he is cognitively not able and not capable of going out. And that's how they phrase, this is a different approach. He's going to be doing something slightly different. Why? Well, you know what works and you know what he's good at, what should be retail politics.
That's also because whether Joe Biden versus Dr. Cornel West, God forbid, he'll put that boy in a coma. Or anyone, like any Biden surrogate versus any Dr. Cornel West surrogate. John Mubraka is close on the campaign. Imagine a Biden surrogate versus a John Mubraka. Imagine Joe Stein versus a random
I'm
Biden
thinking any
surrogate.
of them. Chris Hedges, any of them. Just put any of them.
But that's why they have to.
I'm
my point being, that's why they got to go hands off, CJ. They got to use their media. They got to use their media contacts. They got to use their Democratic operatives to smear him in a hands off style, because they directly try to combat Dr. Cornel West. They're gonna get put in the graveyard. Period. But go ahead, CJ.
All right, so let's read a little bit. Cornel West's hold on a second here. Candidacy on the Green Party line confuses some of his longtime political allies and friends, while also alarming TARP Democrats and Black leaders as the potential ticking time bomb for President Joe Biden in the next year's election. The political philosopher and proud agitator is tapping into his semi-celebrity. You know what? I'm starting to notice them use that line, celebrity, in the first sort of 3 weeks of articles. They didn't have that. Now they're starting to use that. They're trying to time to Trump. You said, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. They're trying to time Trump in any way possible. Especially on the Ukraine position. And there's a headline. I may pull it up if I find it, but it said RFK, Donald Trump to Dr. Cornel West. Why there's so many Putin puppets going on right now? That's the headline saying. Yeah. So essentially, what the headline saying, you have RFK, who's more of a libertarian liberal, right? And then you had Donald Trump, who's far right neo-fascist, and then you have Dr. Cornel West, who's far left. So you got a very large representation of the Overton win on there. They said pretty much all of those people are Putin puppets. Only the liberals are right. It's so absurd. Everyone on the political fucking compass, except warmongering liberals, are Putin puppets according to these people now. But go ahead, CJ.
All right, so I'll read this last line again. The political philosopher and proud agitator is tapping into his semi-celebrity to attack Biden from the left, where the president has never been fully embraced, and describing his administration as a mere postponement of fascism. Go ahead, then.
I'm sorry, CJ. I just want to emphasize that what they just read there in the framing, where the president has never been fully embraced. You mean the left, who the president never embraced? Why is the onus on us to embrace these motherfuckers? And that's the thing. That's the counter argument we get all the time, where we criticize politicians from every angle, and then now every once in a while someone would be like, "Hey, Nick, you always bashing people. Who do you support?" I'm like, why do I have to like a politician to validate my opinions here? I don't have to like your fucking politicians. All of them suck. That's the point. But anyway, why
it'd be like with cancer, Nick? Why you hate all cancers? Who do you like? If everything is bad, if all of it is bad, what do you want me to say? That's like, why are you always bringing America and capitalism back to slavery? Because it all roads lead back to that. What do you want me to say? That's what it does. You want me to take blinders on of the truth of what is it's supposed to be. So
Yeah, I
that's,
wish
that's
we had a
example.
Claire Daly in the United States. How many Claire Daly segments have we done? The point
Yeah.
being, we always gotta look across the fucking ocean to find a politician to praise. Cause we like, God damn it, look what Claire Daly said about Ukraine. Look what Lula said about Ukraine. Not the United States, but go ahead, CJ. We can continue.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start from that part there, where the president has never been fully embraced and describing his administration as a mere postponement of fascism, which is great. This is sort of surprising that to me, CNN is entering some of these phrases in here, the postponement of fascism, when talking about Biden, and also saying that he is being attacked from the left. To me, those are key things that they're putting in these articles. As concerns over Black voter enthusiasm bubble among Democratic operatives, West is also making a deliberately race-based argument, accusing the Democratic establishment of treating the electorate like a plantation where you got ownership status in terms of which way you vote.
See, now that's a devastating line. That's why Dr. Cornel West is a threat. Because what I said this way before the Dr. Cornel West thing was a candidacy was even a thought in anyone's brain. CJ, what I say a year or two ago? I said, how we would have a giant working class threat if you had a Black-led third party. If the Green Party became the Black Party, and people are like, what do you mean Black Party? Yeah, if you're a white ally and you agree with our agenda, of course you would support us, right? But it should be like the party where, like, if you're Black, yeah, you vote for them. like it's a cultural thing. Like, yeah, that's the Black Party because they got our agenda. They got the working class agenda. If that was a thing, right, that's what the fuck we need. That's why we need to put. That's the pressure we need to put on the Democrat and the Republican establishment. Just have an outside constituency of our brothers and sisters and our allies, like the people walking with us, the people who want what we want, right? And then we can have real influence on our culture and our society. And that's exactly what the Black neoliberals don't want, because they sold out to establishment. That's exactly what the establishment don't want. These are just strategies on how to take advantage of the small amount that you should invest in electoral politics, correct? Because if you're going to invest in electoral politics, why do anything else other than this? That's my question, right? But go ahead, CJ.
It's just so funny, though, how it's ironic, I should say, how we were just talking to Dr. Jill Stein. We all was in an interview with her with our third-party summit. I think it was last year. We were like, yeah, the Green Party, what do you think about it being a vehicle for Black voters, like moving Black voters from the Democratic Party? And this is now sort of like a party that people are known. Oh, that's a party where there's a lot of Black people in it. And we even cut a clip on that. And now to see Dr. Cornel West, a Black person, but he does speak to everybody. I must say that he does speak. He is multicultural. But this is what we always say. It's not that he's Black and he's only talking about Black shit, but being Black led from that Black perspective, that sort of, being here in this sort of oppressive state from slavery and all of this experience of oppression and the different dynamics and the transitions of all the state powers through police power and everything. This feels different. And it feels, because of all of what I'm saying, because,
I hear you.
That makes him, he's a Black candidate and he can articulate that type of thing. I think this is a special moment, but let's continue with the article. And one more point. So when they say he's already losing Black voters, it's not like Cornel West, he has 80% and Cornel West is going, let me snatch those up. They are already leaving him, and they're trying to act like he's like somehow like taking them from them. But let's continue. Most top Democrats remain skeptical West will raise enough money to mount an extensive operation. He jumped from little-known People's Party to the Green Party after a rocky rollout. And are the Biden campaign's lead of deliberately not engaging him with him? Go ahead.
And let me say, I made this point before, but let me say, that was high key 3D chess. I'm not saying they did on purpose, but that was a 3D chess move, fam. Because announced on the People's Party freaked so many people out, they accidentally gave him coverage. And he forced the Democratic operative to show their hands. The people like Cal Kalinske and Crystal Ball, like, man, I really wish Dr. Cornel West was running as a Green Party candidate or a Democrat. And then he ran as a Green Party candidate. They were like, oh, I didn't mean, what I meant was, they were
how
forced to
dare
show their
you?
hands.
How dare you, Cornell?
So people say it was a rocky rollout. I disagree. That shit was 3D chess. It got them extra coverage, and it forced people to show their hand. And there was people that had no intention of ever supporting Dr. Cornel West that was saying stuff like this. They were saying stuff, well, I would support Dr. Cornel West if he didn't run for People Party because they didn't think he was going to leave. So then when Dr. Cornel West left, they were forced to show their lack of integrity. And it was there were so many people that we caught doing that. But go ahead, CJ.
I think we did a segment on Kyle doing something like that, backtracking on something
shamelessly.
like that.
In one segment, maybe Gravy ran as a Democrat or Green Party. Then really the next Susie switched. Come on, it'd be better if you ran as a Democrat. Come on, man, have integrity. But go ahead, CJ.
And then it goes, but his decision to run on the ballot line, which Democrats blamed for spoiling both the 2000 and 2016 elections when Green presidential nominees drew enough votes to help give Republican key states in the Electoral College, has made his candidacy a running source of angst and increasingly a topic of private conversation among multiple Democratic leaders nationally and in battleground states.
Private conversations. How do you guys think those going? We're fucked. they sipping wine at their parties. Chuck Schumer talking to fucking Nancy Pelosi. We're fucked, son. And Dr. Cornel West. Yeah. If we don't kill this motherfucker, something don't happen to him, we're fucked. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, because it's a person that's kind of like, if they said there's one person we really don't want, like if it was 5 years ago and it was like one person we really, for a third party, we really can't have, it would be Dr. Cornel West, because it is so hard to attack and smear him. Because what you're going to do, attack him, Anderson Cooper, all we're going to do is pull up about 10 interviews you did with him where you're calling him brilliant and fantastic. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Who, Don Lemon, you want to do that? Who, Matthew, like Chris Matthews, like anybody you say.
It doesn't give them, that's such a good point, CJ. I'm sorry, but that's such a good point. It gives them no side. They're in such a bad position, the Democrat DSA operatives. If Jimmy ran, and you guys know we like Jimmy here, but if Jimmy ran, nigga, the Jimmy Industrial Media Complex will be exploding right now. They will double and triple their income, CJ. That would be
the Vanguard's new logo will be them smoking cigars with money in the back falling down.
Nigga, they will all be balling, son. Their channels will explode because every day, Jimmy Dore this, Jimmy Dore. They already do it. But imagine if Jimmy ran for president, it'd be the Jimmy Industrial Complex would explode. There'd be more channels popping. There'll be more of them because more people take advantage of the grip. So that with Dr. Cornel West, that's not going to happen because they don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to give him coverage. So you guys see why that's such a great position to be in. That's why when someone asks me, I'm like, Jimmy Dore is perfect where he's at, right? Perfect for where he's at. But the Jimmy Industrial Complex, the establishment will love someone that would be easy to demonize, right? Dr. Cornel West puts these people in a very, very tight spot.
Continuing, and while many political insiders have been buzzing about the group No Labels trying to get on the ballot in many states with a presidential candidate, the Greens are already here in 16 and in 2016 got up to 44, including the most competitive states. This is where they are definitely afraid because they know, like, there's a good chunk of states where the hurdle to get on the ballot isn't too hard. That's the reason why it's kind of like they already know, it's going to be another 20 states. Like they already know they're going to get on. So they already know they're going to clear like 35 at least. They already know that. And then the other ones they'll work to get. That's what's putting fear into the establishment.
Sorry, CJ, but they're going to force the Democratic Party to show their hand and force them on ballots again. Which, once again, will only hurt their narrative that they are they're fighting for democracy, then we're gonna use it against them. Like we're gonna be there one step ahead of them every step of the way. Instead of being the dumb left where they tripping along the path, we're gonna be one step ahead of them. As soon as they start doing that stuff, we call the liberals and Democrats out for being anti-democratic thugs, like we call them out. That's why we can't support their party, right? But go ahead, CJ.
And here's a quote. This is going to sneak up on people. End quote. David Axelrod. We covered this in a segment. A former Barack Obama advisor who also serves as CNN political advisor. Quote. Another quote from him. I don't know why alarm bells aren't going off now, and they should be at a steady drumbeat from now until the election. End quote. There are no sirens blaring, but top Democrats in swing states have taken notice. Go ahead.
No, I was just laughing with because they are in shambles. CJ. They're in shambles because we can't see what they're saying. But just based on this, I can just imagine the private conversations was keeping them up at night. But they got to keep a straight face because remember the strategy is not to acknowledge Dr. Cornel West. So when they're in public, they talking about other shit. Hey, Trump is on trial, guys. And meanwhile, back in their head, Dr. Cornel West like, fuck everything up for us. It's like, go ahead, CJ.
Because they literally this is the one guy where it's literally there's no real line of attack that's gonna land for a long time. There's no real line of attack that's gonna land.
And they kind of dug their own grave too, because remember Anderson Cooper and CNN helped legitimize Dr. Cornel West in the eyes of the establishment, right? And remember that was the question we used to ask, like, why the fuck did they keep bringing this guy on? And we asked him that question the first time he came on RBN. Why the fuck do you think they keep laying you on when you talking the truth about war? You talking the truth about empire. You call both parties, and even if you got critiques of Dr. Cornel West on the left, you gotta be honest. That never happens on CNN and MSNBC. Like Dr. Cornel West was always that one outlier. Like, why is he the one guy that they allow him to come on corporate news to say this stuff? But that was a long-term fuck up on behalf of the establishment. Because now what are they gonna do? Turn around and smear the guy that they had on multiple times? That's why
Go ahead,
CJ.
You know why I think they gave him a pass? Because he was one of the people who was like, yes, we need to vote for Biden over Donald Trump. But now he's backed off of that. He's saying, I ain't down with that anymore. But I'm saying because he was down with that, because what the establishment likes to do, they need to have bait for people like a Noam Chomsky kind of person where they critique the establishment, but they still vote for them. And they need to be, because they need those people who would follow a non-establishment figure like Dr. Cornel West. Oh, I love what he's saying. And he's saying, go ahead and vote Democrat. So they kind of have to give him that leeway to come on. See, look, he's talking about the Democratic establishment. Look what he's saying. Just what you guys are saying, non-establishment people. Look, he's just like you guys. And then look at the end, he's going to say vote for Democrats. And he's not saying that no more. So he kind of pulled the rug up from under them, from that agreement that they had. Non-verbal, that is. But let's read this. Let's read this last quote and then sentence, and then we'll close this article. And then I got another quick clip before we close this segment. But quote: "We should be concerned. I don't think time's necessarily on our side. The longer things hang out there, the worse it tends to get." End quote. Said Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis, who acknowledged that the conversation about West has so far been more amongst insiders than voters. Quote, "We should try to deal with it rather quickly if we can. For now, Biden advisors..."
Like, these people sound like super villains. That's what I was saying on Jimmy Dore when I was talking
what
about
is there going to do?
Like, they sound like super villains. What do you think you can do? They know what they're talking about, but they don't. They know that we don't. We should try to deal with it rather quickly if we can. They know this shit is rigged. And the people watching this shit in the establishment, like, why you guys letting this shit go on so long? Pull the plug. Go ahead, CJ.
All right, last paragraph. For now, Biden's advisors remain hopeful that the president's record and voters' memories of 2016, when Jill Stein's campaign won tens of thousands of votes in battleground states Hillary Clinton lost, will keep supporters from straying to West. That's what they hope, Nick. If they remember back, if you remember what happened with Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton, it's an approach much like the one being taken by Michigan Democratic Chair LaVara Barnes, who told CNN, quote, "I don't think Cornel West or the Green Party is something we need to worry about, but it's absolutely something we need to keep our eye on." That's them, Nick, being afraid of as hell, but they can't tell people. Don't create a panic. We are afraid as hell, but don't create a panic, because this literally puts their boot off of the neck of the possibilities of that, what he can do. And this is why he can't run as a Democrat. Because then you are under their boot when you do this in the Green Party, and his name is big enough where they're like, oh, damn it. Oh, because his name is big enough to really pull people in, especially black voters, considering his black enthusiasm numbers are
before
receding.
Dr. Cornel West even announced, they was doing stories about how black people are leaving the Democratic Party, why black people helped lead to Trump, even though white women vote for Trump twice, but they always blame us, right? They're like, what's up with this rightward drift of black men? That's the stories they would run, right? We get blamed, even though white women vote for Trump twice in a row. But hey, the mindset of the white liberals that we owe them something. We owe our allegiance to the Democratic Party, as we're going to cover later as well. And we shouldn't complain at all. So you have. Anyway, I'll pass it. Anyway,
let me play this one. This is the last video for this segment, and then we can move on. But I think this is a good one to kind of close out. This is one Fox News. Actually, I'll just let it play. Talking about third parties. They're talking about Cornel West and RFK, and just third parties in general, considering the within the bounds of the Democratic Party.
Talk about Democrats, because there is panic in the Democrat Party that there could be a third-party candidate that could threaten Joe Biden's reelection. Take a look at this poll showing the willingness of nearly half of American voters neither want to vote for a Republican nor a Democrat, or they're willing to vote for somebody else. That is a remarkable
now
number.
better follow through, motherfuckers.
Danger. But also, if there's a third-party candidate that's a conservative, the Republican nominee could be in danger, because it seems like the American electorate is dissatisfied with all of their choices.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and I think the danger is a little bit more for Democrats for one reason. Just because Republicans for 12 years now have been going through this Tea Party movement, and then Donald Trump, who I would argue is a third-party candidate. I mean, the first thing Donald Trump did when he came on the scene was he beat all the Republicans. And then once he did a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, he then went after Hillary Clinton and then took over that as well. The Democrats have managed to keep it together, to keep their corpse together and not go through this. So their vote, and we see it with RFK Jr., their voters are dying for somebody different, an outsider, and they keep getting the same corpses like the president, Joe Biden, and it's not working. People don't like him. They don't want him, or they get a Kamala Harris. And so I think that there's a real trying to sort of keep this thing together as best they can. And that's why they went with Joe Biden in 2020. But I think the seams it's going to come apart at the seams for Democrats, because they have not addressed this problem, which is they don't like the party, they don't like the establishment, and they want something different. And it's why, at the end of the day, if Republicans go with Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump wins.
I think you're right. By the way, if Joe Biden won't debate, RFK has to threaten a third-party candidacy if he doesn't debate, and Joe Biden will show up on stage.
And we were showing Cornel West in that graphic, and both of those men, third party or not, are incredible speakers. And Cornel West, an incredible thinker, off the cuff, and 2/3 of voters think Joe Biden is too old for a second term, period, end of story.
So don't let anybody kid you. Don't let the Democratic establishment kid you. They're against Joe Biden debating because they know he has cognitively declined. This is the reason why they have a different strategy with their campaigning with him also. So this is why it doesn't matter. No amount of pressure. They know the guy is not here. There's no amount of pressure that's going to get them to come up off of that unless they switch. candidates unless they switch
Now-
candidates. That's the only way. Go ahead.
Now, when you look at that segment, I don't. This is why I tell people to don't get too caught up in the sauce, right? Of the red blue game of trying to fight Trump supporters, trying to fight Biden supporters, trying to win those people over. I have more focus on the people they're talking about, the people that say they're tired of the Democrats and Republicans, right? You got both parties pretend their echo chamber is larger than it is. The same thing when Kyle Kalinske said all black people vote Democrat. No, you guys forgetting half people don't vote. And then among the people who vote, a lot of them are getting tired of the system. Meanwhile, if you go in the sauce, there are blue people, people in the blue team that pretend that their team the best. The narrative, everything shifted around them. The people who are MAGA pretend that the MAGA is the best. Everything centered around them. The narrative, the culture war, the most important thing ever. It's not. Our plan is to make them irrelevant through our movement at reaching these people who see Joe Biden and Donald Trump and disgusted. That's why I shock people when people say, "Are you trying to win over Trump supporters?" I said, "Not really." Like,
No.
if they come along, that's great. But if you're part of the two-party duopoly sauce, I'm not really chasing you. That's why I go aggressively after people's favorite politicians. Because if I go after RFK and you get pissed, you're not my target audience. Like if I go after Donald Trump, you get pissed, you're not my target audience. If I go after AOC, you get pissed, you're not my target audience. I'm going after the people who's tired of this shit. The people who have revolutionary potential, not people clinging on to Donald Trump is actually pretty good. That's why I see people who would like attack Dr. Cornel West for calling Trump a neo-fascist. Like, what are we supposed to take it easy on Trump now? Are we supposed to coddle the hands of Trump supporters? Are we speaking truth to power or not? I don't mind what he's saying. My criticism now, like if you call Trump a fascist, you got to call Biden a fascist.
Right.
That's the only thing. That's what we say. But I see people say, "Why you call Trump a neo-fascist?" Because he fucking is. What are we gonna do? Cuddle their feelings? We gotta tell the truth about the two-party duopoly, and that make you upset because you're a cultist. That's not our problem.